Oh, whoops. All right. There we go. There's all the professionalism in the world right there. Hello. Welcome to Talk About Paint Club. I am your host, Rick Strohmeyer, and I'm flying solo tonight. Oh, wow. It looks way different without two people. Okay. All right. Let's see. Sorry, folks. I just wanted to make sure I showed up on time, and I'm still having to do a little setup as per the camera setup, etc. All right, let's see. All right, so I'm going to mute my mic just for a second because nobody wants to hear me blow my nose on camera. And if you do, sorry. All right, let's see. So we have, let's see. So let's, all right. Where to begin? All right. Sorry for missing last week. Yeah, we, all right. So welcome to February. It's almost the middle of February. Can you believe it? And that joke's always never going to get old. Anyway, so yeah, so this is the first show of February. It is the second week. So next week is the last show for February. And those are the bricks. Yeah, we get a short amount of shows for this month. Sorry, it's what we got. Let's see. Besides that, we had what other show? Let's see, what other upkeep do we have? Yeah, so we haven't decided on a color of the month because of missing last week. Nicole is at the Clutter Glow show. It is Clutter's 5th glow in the dark / black light reactive show. The show looks pretty cool when there. I'm not going to encourage anybody to leave this stream, but if you do, check that out. I think they're live throughout the night. If you have a chance to check out one of their setups for this glow show, I would encourage you to do so. It's pretty cool. They do a super job for lighting up the gallery. So they will on occasion on the live streams show what the whole gallery looks like with the black lights on. So they'll show regular light, black light, and with them off, because the rules for the entry of that show is the toy must glow in the dark too. So not only does it have to be black light reactive, it has to be glow in the dark. Hey Dylan, how's it going? So yeah, so because I'm flying solo tonight, there will be I will be doing some painting live as well, and answer questions and talk about certain whatever topics happen to fly on in. And yeah, so it's a great night to be a painting person. There we go today. Yeah. So let's see what else do we have? I don't have any other notes. Yeah. So last month's color of the month is neon orange. So when we get Nicole back next week, we'll show off what we did last month that involves the color of the month. And looks like February will just be will be without one, and that kind of stuff happens. Oh, tonight, water. Let's see. So today's been an exciting day. My makerspace held its quarterly cleanup today, which meant they shut the whole place down unless you were a volunteer to come in and clean. and it's one of the perks of a purely volunteer driven facility is that members come in and help clean up, and it's kind of neat because you get to, I mean, like, oops, you don't need, nobody wants that. We're not going to do any J.J. Abrams lens flares here. Anyway, it's kind of neat because it helps keep the cost down, membership, and you get to meet more members than you would just by, especially for me, because I'm so introverted there, and all I want to do is I want to keep my head down and do whatever project it is that I'm working on, and that's about it. And if I want to do show and tell, I'll sign up to do the show and tell when they do it. And we actually have not had a show and tell meet and greet since before the pandemic. So there's one scheduled in March, which is pretty exciting, and I can't wait to be able to go in there. Last time I participated in one, I brought in some of the toys that I painted because I was very much like, I use the spray booth so much, and this is why. And a lot of the members who go in between, like the main entrance and the laser room, they probably have seen my toys hanging out in the drying racks, which is cool. Like a couple years ago, I had some guy like I was spraying in there, and he like popped his head in to see what was going on, and then he laughed, and then he came back and like, "Are you the action figure guy?" I'm like, yeah. I'm like, just in passing, and we I don't even remember the dude's name, but just in passing, I was like, oh, there's no fucking there's no reason to correct the dude. Like, actually, it's designer toys. Yeah, action figure dude. It's cool enough. So since normally I ask Nicole what she's drinking, and she's not here, so Dylan, what are you drinking? Going to be a little heavy on the audience participation tonight, I think, probably. And I'm trying to set up I don't want that flare to happen though, but I would like to, whatever I'm painting on tonight, I would like to record for other YouTube posterity. Maybe I don't get to. That's unfortunate. All right. So because of that, let's see, because of the quarterly cleanup, I have been up since 5:30 to make sure I got there on time on 8. Not to say it takes 2.5 hours to get there, but sleep habits being the way they are, I am drinking water currently since I need to pace myself before. Oh, Super Bowl! Or as we call it in my house, time to do something completely different. All right, there we go. Whoops. I apologize for the kangaroo pouch shot. I am trying to get my phone set. Yeah, I'm going to be recording this too. So we get time lapse recording from the top. This over here. I'm just facing myself. Super Bowl. Okay, what's your beverage of choice for Super Bowl? Like, just because we don't celebrate that holiday in this house doesn't mean I can't engage with people who do elsewhere. And I'm going to assume, yeah. All right. I think the closest thing to Super Bowl celebration tomorrow is we're having nachos. But nachos don't have to be since I'm not driving, I'll make my wife. There you go. Classy is good. All right. So let's see. We have going on here. So a while ago, we had somebody ask about crappy brushes, and it was Travis or David, and not that I was very like dismissive of it, but I'm like, um, I wasn't dismissive, but I was like, yeah, I don't do that. But apparently, I wasn't. I wasn't considering how crappy brushes could go, right? And I ended up buying a set of, well, I guess the term crappy brush also gets to be implied because of price of things, right? And so by that standard, crappy brushes. But I bought a very cheap set on Amazon, like 10 for $15, right? I'm waiting for you guys to do a drunk stream eventually. Oh man. Um that kind of stream is hidden behind a paywall. No, I'm kidding. I don't know about that. And they're like, I don't know. I'd like drinking and streaming seems like for somebody like me, it would seem like I would not want to be in the driver's seat of like moderating it and stuff. Because as responsible as I can be, it's time where, yeah. But I hear you. I hear you on that. Maybe one day we'll make sure my wife's not here to do something like that. Not that it matters whether she's here or not when I'm drinking, but like it might matter. Paywall. I don't know. That's something also I would have to plan a little bit in advance to do. So, I don't know. I could be the sober monitor, even though I don't know shit about art. Oh no, it's not even knowing shit about art. It's just wanting to run the stream and just not have to be like the adult in the room. Like I don't know if you notice. Sometimes I have to be the voice of reason, and yeah. Oh hell, my cool. So we I mean, like, yeah, I'm gonna, who's gonna make fun of Biden when like somebody half his age still stutters and stutters just as bad. Anyway, yeah, it sounds like the back of my brain says, yeah, dude, we in the back of my mind says, yeah, dude, we could have a good time doing that. And like I'm in my head, I'm not coming up with the greatest reasons not to, right? And that's like, why not? Um, like the first the when art criticism and drinking comes together, it makes me very much think of college days. Like my like one of my favorite professors, we had made this joke once, like after we went to this cool Mexican restaurant in downtown El Paso, which is unfortunately not there anymore. But anyway, we had said, oh, we should do our next critique at La Norteña, and he's like, oh yeah, that's what we need to do, is just incorporate booze and critiques, and you'll have one pitcher in, and we'll all be like, I'll tell you what I think about your shit, and everybody's going to be super brave. and and he was right. um, like he had this party at his place once because he was hosting. We went to La Norteña as a because we had a visiting artist come in, and he scooped up a handful of us, and we went drinking with him and this visiting professor, and it was a lot of fun. And so everybody like wants to recapture that magic and go do that again and again and again. And prior to that, which is why I'm sure Kim made this hilarious joke, was we had a party at his house for a different visiting artist, and some people got really pissy about other people's art, and they took huge exception to it. And I was just sitting on the cooler watching, because like it was my first year at the university and I had no idea who was who, except I got invited to the party. uh, my professor was super badass, and he made a mean martini. And I just felt like, because I was sitting on the cool, like all the other chairs were taken, so I was just sitting on uh the the cooler because no other chairs were available, and I just felt like Smog sitting on his treasure pile, like, I smell you, thief! You cannot have this. And good times. But I watched this guy. This dude used to paint like these gothic bloody nuns, and like, so like what, this is late 90s, and he would paint these bloody nuns, um, very seductive gear from down below. And this one dude just fucking said to him, "Man, you need a girlfriend so you could stop painting that shit, so we don't have to look at it all the time." And punches were it looked like punches were going to be thrown, and you could, but yelling, there's lots of yelling going on after this, like, "Ah, oh, fuck you, nobody wants to see a dog shitting," and blah blah blah, and just all kinds of funny stuff. Funny to me at the time, right? and and then my professor just comes out and goes, all right, so you paint shit and you paint shit, everybody paints shit at this time, that's why you're in college. Let's go our ways, gents." And then he made them then he gave them another drink, and it was pretty much like, after Kim's like, "All right, guys, don't fuck each other up on my property," everybody was cool, right? It was like, it was pretty simple, easy to see like how pissy somebody can be. And I'm I'm no angel on this. I've been known to get pissy from time to time when somebody starts criticizing things, criticizing my craft. Um, so yeah, I tend to not want to. So long story short, I tend to not want to mix booze and alcohol, or booze and painting, because not just because of that, but several instances in life where it's like, you know, maybe a sheathed tongue is okay at this point, you know. And thanks to the internet, because nothing ever gets deleted, it's kind of harder to make an ass of yourself and just be like, sleep it off the next day and everything's cool. No, you know, internet's fucking permanent. So, and that's also a recent development. That's been a recent decision since, I don't know, the pandemic. I mean, like, there are times I've gone to Bunny Mischief when Bunny Mischief had a stream on YouTube, on Instagram, and yeah, you show up to get hammered, and by the end of the night, yeah, you're really hammered, and you're like, "What time do you guys end this stream?" And it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's like, wow, some of you guys have some fine endurance. All right, so Here's the funny dude for the night. All right, I got this Space Sasquatch for an upcoming show. I guess this would be on what have you been painting lately? Um, and to say it's, I started this 2 days ago, painted it, didn't like it, painted it again, didn't like it, and now I'm on past number 3. And to say I painted it, it's not that I got it all the way to completion. It's because I got the blue green laid out, and then I didn't care for how it came out, so I just redid it, and then redid it again, and I actually got it whipped up about an hour ago to have it ready for the show tonight. So I have 2 of these, and they're both getting painted with a Masters of the Universe theme to it. So I've I don't know, since my time in designer toys, there's like, there's certain color schemes that I gravitate towards when I'm not painting my own conceptual color schemes and stuff. There are some that are just kind of like, well, this is stuff that's retro, or it's actually just something that's from my childhood that I really appreciate. And I sometimes fall back onto Masters of the Universe color schemes, mainly Skeletor. Like if I yeah, I'll paint almost anything with the Skeletor color scheme, and I think I've probably painted a dozen things with the Skeletor color scheme, and this guy would be no exception. This would be a fine way of doing it, especially with the fact that it has the face plotted out. It would look really cool as it, but Merman from Masters of the Universe. Merman has not been like the unicorn, but it's always like, can I paint this like Merman? One of my favorite characters. And of all my times doing designer toys, I don't think I've ever actually done more. I don't think I've done more than one. So to be able to grab this and be like, yeah, it'll fit, or I'll make that puzzle piece fit. It's pretty cool. So the blue green, I've kind of I've wrestled with a little, and instead of just doing a solid blue green or trying to work up the fur texture, I ended up just doing a straight up dark blue green and fading it out on the limbs and the top of the head to be a more pronounced green. But really, that part of the toy is done as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Are you watching Super Bowl at home tomorrow, Dylan, or are you going someplace special? A sober or a... We'll have to figure out when, let's see. Oh, it's Lunar New Year too. Very cool. How long do these take to make? That's funny. That was asked on the channel, or not the channel, on the I was just asked this on the group chat for these, of how long it usually takes to make a toy. It depends, and I hate that answer. So I could, with everything said and done, from cleaning and priming to the finish varnish, I've done it little as 3 days. And it's probably not the only thing I'm working on at the time, because for priming purposes, I like to give a toy 24 hours to cure after spraying it with the prime, to make sure it's really it is set before I start painting on it. And then after I paint it, I like to give that about 12 to 24 hours to paint before I varnish it. I'm getting drunk, which I probably will. I'm on to eliminating chance. I don't blame you. Like, we were just talking about the decisions of not drinking and driving uh, earlier this week, and my safety lecture was I've done some really stupid things behind the wheel with a beverage or two in my system, and I never need to do that again. And come out lucky on every, or come out lucky and never not have any trouble, one legal or any consequential, any actual consequences happening because of my stupidity. Just color myself lucky there too. So I don't blame you one bit. Be home, be safe. There's a Canadian sketch comedy show called the Kids in the Hall, and I loved the Kids in the Hall, right? And they had this funny bit once where this mother was nagging her kid, like, "Oh, we're going to be gone, and you're going to have to do this or this or this," and okay, and the mother's one of the mother's final bits of wisdom for her kid who didn't want to hear anything was, if you're going to drink, please drink at home so you don't get in trouble. And if you choose to drink at home, please do it in the basement so you don't fall down any stairs. And I've always thought that's the funniest freaking safety advice ever, but it sounds like it's so freaking true too. All right. So I left the helmet downstairs. That sucks. I don't blame you, man. I don't want to. Okay, so let's see. When's your next show? I don't have a solo show coming up. I don't have any solo shows. I have. I am going to be participating in the. Thanks for asking. I'm going to be participating in a show at the beginning of March with Ghost Fox Toys. The show it's going to a physical location in El Paso. I don't remember if it's at the gallery for their art co-op or if it's their actual physical store, because they're supposed to have a store. And my piece is being painted on. I should have brought that up to work on tonight. My piece is downstairs in process. Let's see. And then I have the Space Squatch show in April. And if funds were better, that I would go to the show myself, because it's in Chicago and it's only about 6-7 hours away. So yeah, like I'd just go for the support of the show and hopefully sell my toy, but I don't like the cost of going there would be too expensive, but kind of tempting. Let's see. So then fair season is right around the corner. I think the first craft fair event locally is in March or April. I have to check my calendar again for that. But tomorrow is while everybody else is drinking and eating chips and dip of all shapes and sizes, my job tomorrow is to make sure that I have events to go sell stuff at tomorrow. And then let's see. Oh, I think next week we're going to be on Sunday, because I'm going to the art battle that starts at 8 on Saturday at the Mall of America. Oh, no. That's on Sunday. That's on Friday. Never mind. So I might be doing a live painting next week. I don't remember if I'm actually in the show or if I'm just going to be an observer. There's one of them in the future that I'm participating in, and one of them that I'm not, and just have to review that. So that's on Friday. I don't have any other toy shows to do, unfortunately, yet. I did just join the local Northeast Minneapolis Art Association. That was the joy of this week, is to join that. And that's one of the things that I'm doing tomorrow, is to comb over. I'm looking at my iPad over there while I look at my monitor over there, and then here. Hi, Kimmy. And so, yeah, I have to check out that to see what's in my area to do. Even if, I believe NEMA also does, like, facilitates artists having, like, uh, booths or product tables at, like, breweries and stuff too. So I have to check that out tomorrow. A couple of my buddies have been like, you need to join NEMA so you can do this, and this, and then you can be part of the Art Whirl and some art crawl. I think it's the art crawl too, or maybe they're the same. And yeah, so it's I don't know, dude. Like, it seems like we're 6 weeks into the new year, and I still don't have everything hammered out yet, which is a little disconcerting, but yeah. So that's that. I wish I had a better answer. Then, all right, so let's see. Well, for future viewers, we're painting yellow tonight. So the key to painting yellow is to not start out with yellow. Yellow is probably the shittiest color to paint when it's not white or orange. And so what I'm doing is I'm starting out with a warm brown, just as the very first coat. So the reason I'm starting with brown instead of just jumping into yellow is that, well, yellow sucks. The yellow's pigmentation almost always it doesn't have great coverage, and it takes oodles of layers to cover and get a nice layer. And so I could spend all night. Is that Wiggly? It looked a lot like he shook up. He shook. Hey, nice. No, this is a Space Squatch, Kimmy, from by ETC Toys for a show, and we were told that you could share works in progress pictures online, but don't save your final for when it's closer to the show. And so, works in progress. And yeah, so I very much doubt I'm going to be finished tonight, but the goal is to finish tomorrow. But anyway, so like yellow sucks. Yellow, orange, white, and red, depending on what kind of red, they all suck for coverage. So for all of them, I like to start out with a neutral base. It's just lagging here. The video's off for me. Oh gosh, I bet your weather's crazy, isn't it? So yeah, so I like to start with a brown base, and I'm sure I've mentioned this more than one time on this channel or on this show, that yellow sucks. And my main hack for painting yellow is to spray it yellow and then paint around it. And nobody likes that answer. So then the next answer is, well, yellow is secretly easy if you get over a couple of hurdles or humps. And one of them is that don't start with yellow. Now, if I were to paint yellow on this thing, it would take me 15 coats. Yellow sucks for yeah. So if I were to start painting yellow on this, it would take me about 15 coats to get a nice flat layer on there. And even with the painterly way I like to layer my colors, it still take a long freaking time to get that built up. So the secret is to not start with freaking yellow. So I'm using a brown. I've grabbed a warm brown. Presumably, it is a burnt sienna, or close enough so that we wouldn't know the difference. And I'm not laying it out. Excuse me. And I'm not laying it out thick. I'm laying it out really thin. It's thinned down with water, probably about the consistency of milk. Definitely not skim milk though, and it's thin. You can see watermarks in it. That's fine. Because the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little white and yellow to this brown mixture, so I could do it mostly all over again. But except for the deepest, darkest recesses that I want to, that'll stay brown, and I'm going to layer it up bit by incrementally with my mixture of brown, yellow, and white to a little more white, and then just build it up little by little with white, so I can have some volumetric shading in every area. And then at the very end, I'm going to hit it with a yellow ink, and it'll be like colorizing a black and white picture. In this case, a sepia tone with yellow, and it'll give me a bunch of cool values. And that yellow will just it'll only take one pass with the final yellow to just have a really nice painterly yellow. It will not be flat, and that's the way I like to paint. I don't like painting just for a super flat color. So that's how yellow is going to look there. And if I really want to, I might take a little brown wash over top of it, just to make the recesses get a little darker, and just to give it as much volume as possible. But there's really not going to be as much yellow on this as one would think or hope for, but it's still going to read like yellow. If I wanted it nice and flat though, yeah, I'd just mask out my areas and spray it. Like maybe one coat brown, then spray it with a white to make sure white, and then start building up with some yellows. Like even the eyes, so the face will be orange, and I'm building it up with brown there too. And even the eyes, they'll be white, and I'm building it up with brown first. Brown is secretly a great color that people ignore as a base for building up your other colors. Is yellow the worst to paint with? Yellow, white, and red, or yellow, white, and orange. Excuse me. They're pretty much the worst. It's like, yeah. And as comfortable as I am painting it, it's still a bitch to do. And then, and yeah, it's still a bitch to do, or a pain in the ass. And yeah, so, and while talking about doing all of that, all of my stuff is freaking dry and good to go. So I'm going to take my brown. I'm going to add a little. And then the other weird thing you can do is you can mix. So white and yellow are really, they're shitty to paint. They have crappy coverage. They take a lot of coats to paint and to paint cleanly. Because the number one thing you don't do is just be like, well, I'm going to grab my brush. I'm just going to not thin my paint. I want it covered. And it's going to look like Vincent van Gogh did it by Braille. And it looks like crap. But you can mix yellow and white together, and that turns it into a somewhat stronger paint. You can rig it to work that way too. You can rig it by doing a white yellow mix that has better coverage than either one combined, and then go over with white again, or with your yellow at the end. But I like to build it up from brown because it just feels it just has a more earthy and more, it feels richer. Yeah, it feels richer with that. Don't build it up from black. If you build it up from black, it looks like crap. Literal baby poop. So yeah. And then your quality and the type of paint you're using matters too, because like if you're using a apple barrel dollar paint from Michaels, it's going to take you a million coats. If you're using a something like Golden or Liquitex, it might take you a few less coats, but not by much. So I've got my Montana So Flat, or not my Montana, my Golden So Flat here, and I just put 2 drops in with that burnt sienna. I'm going to put a couple drops of white. And it's always okay to go back and do another yellow tutorial. I always find like doing a yellow tutorial is kind of, I don't want to say soothing, but it's chill, because like it's a pain in the ass. People can relate to it. And at the end of the night, you have an explanation that works, and that information just comes out, So that's the new, that's the new brown. Just by putting it on the face, you can see that there's a hell of a jump, and that's all right. But so like where I have the face, I'm going to now cover 90% of it with this new mixture, and I'm going to go for all the high points. I'm going to go for a lot of the broad areas. I'm going to just try and avoid like the main creases of where shadows would go into, and it's going to look like David Bowie's makeup when the dude would make like where those really drastic color shifts in his makeup. It's going to look like that, or like Elvira. Like, we may not all have paid attention to David Bowie, but I guarantee we all paid attention to Elvira, right? And the eyes are up here, and that's how she did her face. So yeah, I'm going to be shading him kind of like Elvira. That's good enough. It's going to look really weird until it doesn't. And because orange kind of behaves the same way, I'm just treating the orange face the same way. And once I start adding the orange glazes to it, it'll pop out super nice. So Dylan, you get an art education no matter what tonight. Yeah, so that's the next layer for the face. No, it blends in with, it's weird, it blends in with mine. All right. So yeah, and then I get to tell the story. Meanwhile, back at the other story. By the way, I fucking miss Andor. Ah, I do too. Oh my gosh. Oh, so like, okay, I just watched the Marvels last night, right? And I don't see why people. I mean, like, if if it wasn't a box, I understand it wasn't a box office hit, but there was nothing wrong with it. Like, it was an I thought it was an adorable movie, right? It was like Miss Marvel Part 2 more than Captain Marvel. Like, if you liked Miss Marvel, the show, then the movie for the Marvels should have hit the same level of feels. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'm like, what the hell's wrong with people for hating on it? Like, like Kamala Khan whoever's writing for Kamala Khan. I still haven't seen it, but you can spoil it. People on Twitter are saying how surprised they are that they liked it, right? Like I think Disney's intent with Kamala Khan is to make her the new Peter Parker, right? To make, like, I hope you've seen the Marvels, because I'm just gonna because that'll it's been out over a year. You should have seen that. So but like the Marvels, Miss Marvel was an adorable show. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed it. The use of graphics for that, and just the way, like, they just did a fine job of developing this teenage character's freaking development of having superpowers, and just normal life, especially as being a Pakistani American. I thought it was really good. And like, we get to see her parents in this movie, and it's funny. It was funny, like their whole interaction throughout the film. Um, doesn't hurt that when the mom looks like one of my friends. Just fucking funny. But yeah, like, I thought it was just like, it wasn't like the most compelling story. Um, but it was fine. It was fun. The visual effects were amazing. Um, we got to see some story arc from we got to see some actual story arc of Captain Marvel's time in outer space, and we got to see some development from Monica. Monica is Monica, right? Monica. How good is it if I can't remember her name, the other character's name? We got to see Monica Rambeau's character have a have some decent screen time and some story development and character development. I couldn't tell. I suppose it happened after uh, the Secret Invasion storyline, and but yeah, I thought it was fine. I mean, like, I might give it a B minus, but that's probably the low grade I'd give it. Like, I was slightly annoyed that I didn't get to see it in the theater. I feel like I got to see Captain Marvel in the theater, and I thought it was great. Like, all those big space scenes, and the space scenes were cool. Having the fighter jet scenes were really cool on the big screen. Just kind of like that old school vibe. Uh, old school, like, I'm old school. I mean, like 90, 80-year old action comic vibe. The way Captain Marvel behaved, fantastic. And then I honestly think they just need to take a break for a bit with the shows and movies. It's just too much. Give me a chance. Maybe. Dude, I thoroughly enjoyed What If this past season. The only dud in that one was the Tony Stark one. And that's only because I can't get over whoever's doing the voice acting is not like, I don't know, it's not Robert Downey Jr. So I'm like, he makes Tony Stark. But let's see. Yeah, only the so What If was amazing this time around, and Loki. I had such a great time with Loki season 2. I'm like, it's great. Like it's a fine time to me be a Marvel uh, comics fan or a Marvel movie fan. Like when I was growing up, Kimmy, you're old enough to remember this. What was the Star Wars animated show Disney did? Um, Crap. No. Star Wars Visions, and I liked a lot of those. Um, there were some that were kind of, but for the most part, those were really cool too. Just mainly because, like, yeah, they didn't have to revolve around a Skywalker storyline or actually have any real foot in it. It's some were just like, well, we're gonna give this guy a glowing sword and call it a day, and that's really what it felt like, or some of them felt like. But they were still pretty. Yeah, and I like that. I like that too because, like, George Lucas was clearly inspired by the Kurosawa movies when he was writing Star Wars, and a lot of the makings of Star Wars says, well, George Lucas just had, I want to have a samurai in outer space, and that was his whole premise, and he wants to have spaceships that go fast. But like the studio that made Wallace and Gromit, they had a story in the last season of Visions, and it was adorable. Um, there was some other studio that had one. I think it was the last one in the season, and it looked like all the characters were needle felted. So like, it looked amazing. It was like, wow, they animated plush toys. How fucking cool is that? So yeah, like, I'm gonna go back to the Marvels just because it was last night, so it's super fresh in my mind, right? Let's see. They had tie-ins to a lot of shows in Miss Marvel. They had, or in the Marvels, they had Miss Marvel. They had, there's a tie-in to WandaVision. I believe there was a tie-in to, of course, the first Captain Marvel, and to Endgame, and to what was the freaking, I'm at a loss. What was the Avengers movie before Endgame? Because they had the tie into that, and then they had tie in. I think there was a part of me says there was a tie into to Loki too. Yeah, it was like Kamala Khan, who is a big fan of of Captain Marvel, had Infinity War. Yes, they had a thank you. They had a tie into Infinity War. Kamala Khan is a big fan of Captain Marvel and her storyline, and like when she actually gets to meet her, she's just like, she's excited. She's as excited as I am when I meet people that I always wanted to. It's like the tail's wagging the dog, and it was just so adorable seeing her like gush out over that. It's like, oh, that's all right, cool. She's playing a kid, being a kid, and having a good time doing it, and it was awesome. There's this, like, yeah, and some of it highlighted like Carol Danvers' ability to just traverse the whole universe, which was nice to see. And it's like we know we knew she was Disney said she got her superpowers in the mid '90s, and then she took off to go do other things and wasn't around for Infinity War, right? Um, it does help give it a little explanation of what the hell was Carol Danvers doing while Thanos is doing all his bullshit, you know? And it was like, hey, that's cool. I mean, like, of course they had to retcon it because, but yeah, it was still pretty cool. Like, are there flaws in the movie? Yeah, there are flaws. There's story problems, and there's just like some weird, um, like, what do you want to call it? Timeline infringements or some shit like that. It's like, yeah, okay. But like, if we could suspend a disbelief that there's like superheroes that are now composed of cosmic energy and nothing hurts them, then we can get over some of those really small loopholes, right? Like, that's my big argument for why I think it was all right, because like, we want to believe that Captain Marvel is this almighty thing, almighty powerful entity, and she actually exists in this universe, then we can forgive a plot hole or two, right? All right, so this is step 2 of yellow sucks. There's like, yeah. So I went from a poop brown to a poop skin color. Well, people are going to shit on the dude, you know, like, it's not Daisy Ridley's fault that the writers sucked. All right, like, it's not the Rose lady's fault that the writers sucked. It's not the cast members' fault that the writers sucked. Okay, like, you can quote me on that. It's and like, so I've heard this wonderful argument, and I love it, about like, the wonderful argument about why Rey could use the Force as well as she could almost from the get-go, right? And the favorite argument is, well, she's a Palpatine, right? And how powerful is Palpatine? Immensely. So like, even if she had no training whatsoever, once she discovers she has the Force, it's going to be really easy. She can jump off from training wheels to a Kawasaki dirt bike, right? It's going to be that freaking easy for her. And I'm all right with that. Like, personally, I would have loved to see her be like not Palpatine's progeny. I would have personally loved to see her be like Kenobi, or let her be a fucking Skywalker, but let her be the granddaughter of Qui-Gon Jinn, because I love the internet. I love when the internet like suggests that he and Shmi hooked up one night on Tatooine, right? Like, let her have been legitimately a Skywalker and just been like, oh, she has lineage to Qui-Gon Jinn, right? Like, how fucking cool would that have been? Be like, in one of the holocrons that she's looking at, she was into being a Kenobi to nobody. Yeah. I was all like, I heard she was supposed to be a Kenobi. I was like, fuck yeah. That's how you justify seeing an Ewan McGregor Force Ghost, right? Let him be in there. that was the same idea, the same mentality I had of why she could be like Qui-Gon Jinn's progeny. Like, fuck, we're gonna see Qui-Gon Jinn as a Force ghost, right? And how cool would that have been to be like, oh yeah, she's the result of a 3-day Qui-Gon's 3-day pass in Tatooine. So like, how bad does that? I mean, like that sounds terrible, but it's like, well, that's the lot in a Skywalker life, isn't it? But I think, well, my main problem with Star Wars, um, I mean, like Jason Forbes, I was complaining to him about Star Wars once, and he was just like, "There's no such thing as bad Star Wars because growing up, you never thought you'd see any of the content that we're looking at now, right? It's just like we all take it for granted that like this content's just pouring out, but there was a time where, like never in life, right? So it is kind of nice. I mean, it's very nice, right? Like, but I think like the biggest problem with Star Wars, especially like the prequels. I mean, like, imagine if you had made Rey um, be related to Qui-Gon. You're going to force some audience members to have to like the prequels, or those who have come to accept the prequels as part of their Star Wars experience. Then you're going to accept this upcoming one because you managed to tie in a character to the very beginning. That's cool, right? And no, I agree. It's a cool problem to have of this. So like, why not, right? But the problem, the problem that like we saw with the Phantom Menace is nobody ever felt like telling George Lucas that any of his ideas were a bad one. Like the one of the Star Wars documentaries that you see, like George Lucas coming out and he's holding the script and like tells his crew, guys, I just have the first draft of the script completed, and everybody's cheering him. At that point, nobody wants to tell him after they read it. Nobody wants to tell him, hey, maybe you shouldn't have an 8-foot weirdo with a speech impediment as your main guy. They all kissed his ass and went like, this is great. And nobody wanted to help him edit that, And that's like, come on, man. So that's my big problem. And then, and that, yeah, because like editing down some of the deluge of special effects that he would threw out in the prequels was like, man, you didn't have to put it all in there. Lucas should have handed each prequel to it. I agree. I totally agree. I mean, that's what made Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi so good, is that he did release Control. That is yeah. Absolutely. And like they should have done that with the I know they said they were going to try that with the sequel trilogy, and then Rian Johnson did whatever the fuck he wanted to after J.J. Abrams had the storyline all written out. Like, yeah, like how cool would it have been at the very end of The Force Awakens that the frickin' okay, imagine this. And this is the only time I've ever actually considered like doing my own fan casting story arc, fan storylines, whatnot. Imagine this. Rey gets to Luke Skywalker and she hands him his lightsaber, right? And Luke, as he's ready to receive it, actually pulls out a lightsaber to give her, and it's whoever she's actually related to, whether it be Qui-Gon or Obi-Wan, but somebody with the lineage that actually showed like, yeah, dude, there's a reason you didn't need training wheels on your dirt bike before you started riding. You know, just like he actually knew that he saw it in the Force that he was going to be encountering this person or this person's progeny, and he had uncovered that their lightsaber throughout his search in the past 30 years. How cool would that have fucking been? One thing that I think they really got right, I mean, like, really, the one thing I think they really got right was showing that Leia had been trained, had trained, was had a hand in training Rey. I was going to say three things, but that's the only two part. Yeah, like showing Leia's involvement in the Force and having a hand in training Rey. I thought that was fucking cool, right? What I hated was frozen space Leia. It's like I get over a lot of that shit from the sequel trilogy, but that part, Rian Johnson needs to be ashamed of himself. I really wanted Knights of Ren to be no shit. Mary Poppins, scene of her. Yeah, dude, that's terrible. Yeah, the Knights of Ren was totally a missed opportunity. And I think that I think a lot of what they've done with like Ahsoka and stuff in The Mandalorian, they're retconning as much as possible from that uh, trilogy to make it make sense or make them feel better. Like the Snoke's cloning, really, you didn't need to have that. We're gonna get that. Shit, what else? But yeah, okay, I'm willing to wager amount of $1 because I only bet $1 that Shin Hati is going to have or Shin Hati is going to have like a hand in what the Knights of Ren look like, or at least those marauders from the unknown planet that they were on in Ahsoka. I'm willing to wager that that's going to be where the Knights of Ren partly come from. I really liked that red armor too. I like the look of the things in Ahsoka. Like almost everything in there, like they did a fantastic job getting right. Except for Sabine Wren, which you guys have heard my opinion on that. She's the worst Mandalorian ever, and probably the worst. And yeah, Sabine Wren's just a Sabine Wren is bad. Like, also, also there's a YouTuber who's a comedian, who's does a lot an impressionist named Hopkins. Charlie Hopkins. He does deep fake reviews of Star Wars shows. And he sits as Obi-Wan talking to Qui-Gon's Force Jinn, reviewing hologram tapes. It's just the movies and shows, right? And it's pretty funny. And like the running gag is Qui-Gon's death from a belly wound, right? So whenever he sees somebody else getting a belly wound, he's like, "Oh, poor bloke. That'll be the end of him." And Obi-Wan's like, "Man, we should just keep watching." And so, like, the last time we did this, his last video, he's like, they see somebody else getting a belly wound. He's like, "Here we go again. I'm not going to count him as dead until I see a body incinerated, because everybody walks away from a belly wound except me." It's fucking hilarious the way they do it. So yeah, if you got time to kill, and there's always like the other inside or the other running joke that they do is like, Obi-Wan never wants to tell Qui-Gon like how bad Anakin fucked the universe, right? Or the galaxy, right? So like he'll see like, oh, the Dooku era, and when he's a Jedi and he's like pulls out his lightsaber and it's blue, and Obi-Wan will be like, "Oh, it's blue." And Qui-Gon will be like, "Well, what color should it be?" Best you wait and see. It's fucking hilarious the way they do it. Or he does it. I guess it's only one dude, right? And it's just fucking hilarious the way he does it. Like, hey, you know, people should watch that too. Yeah, people should watch that. And like, I think the dude started it because of the pandemic. And he didn't, and he wasn't just doing, and he doesn't just do Star Wars. He'll do like Game of Thrones the same way, and he does Lord of the Rings the same way. So it's funny. You'll have like Gandalf sitting in his fucking bathrobe, reviewing fucking Lord of the Rings stuff. Funny. All right, let's see. So now we have Band-Aid Brown. So we have original burnt sienna, heavy bronzer skin tone, Band-Aid Brown, and then we'll go to white. I'm just going to jump straight to white. So it's going to be a little bit of a value shift. It'll be all right. And then, because I always talk about my love of the wet palette, the two colors that I mixed for this guy are preserved on my wet palette long enough for tomorrow, because I left the helmet downstairs. I don't feel like getting that. All this effort for a color. Yeah. Hour and a half to paint one color in a lot of little places. Yeah. But I'm having a good time doing it. And if I weren't talking with y'all, I'd probably be done with it already. But it's going to look really pretty, I promise. Like, it's going to have nice values to it. I'm not going to have to do much work after I laid out that yellow. I'm not going to have to do much work afterwards to get this guy to really pop. Yeah. And it's my way of doing it. So, and we get to see it all live on YouTube, and like it's being I'm recording the time lapse up above. So like when this goes to show, I'll also send a QR code with it, so that like whoever buys this, or if you when you have like somebody at a gallery or whatnot, and they're promoting it, they'd be like, oh yeah, that's up on YouTube. He made a video of it for YouTube, and you can be like, oh, let's check that out later on. I think it's neat. I've sold a couple of toys that I painted on YouTube, that I painted and put the video on YouTube, and people like that because they want to be able to show, like, if like they have it on display in their house, and then somebody comes over, they can be like, yeah, I can see how it's mostly made, and some people like that, and that's cool. Not because I'm getting money on the YouTube. I'm not getting paid on YouTube, so I use YouTube as a medium for myself to be like, hey, go check it out here, and people like that, so that's cool. Uh-oh. Damn it, I was just thinking the other day that I don't have people call me while I'm doing streams, and now I have somebody messaging me. Oh well. I'm not looking at that. Yeah, and then after I set this yellow up, and then the helmet, it's yellow. I mean, this guy's got guy's got nails, eyes, little stuff on the control panel to do, and yeah, it's should be cool. Like, that'll be done, and then I have the other one, which, all right, I'm all right that we show our color of the month next week, because as much as I paint neon orange, like here's one right here. So I have my merman and my beast man going on in Space Sasquatch colors. Or switch that. I have Space Sasquatch rocking in Masters of the Universe colors. So yeah, there you go. So all that value for Band-Aid Brown, Bronzer, and Burnt Sienna. And if Kimmy's still in the chat, she can attest that yellow does suck nuts to actually get to look right. So, yeah. All right, and then what I'm going to do is actually, instead of white, I'm going to add white, but there's going to be a little, just a buff color. That'll be all right. Then when you add white, like a lot of my colors, a lot of my paints are model colors, not the white. White comes from an artist brand. Comes in a tube. It's thicker. It will get watered down a bit, but better pigment through this than anything model companies do. That's the other hack for the night. So now it's, instead of white, it's more like albino boa. Thank you. Yeah, so all right, so I'm going to put the albino boa. We're just going to make up fun names tonight for it. I'll put that on the face, and then you'll see like how fucking washed out it'll look, like this, like all washed out here. And then once I get the yellow on there, I will probably go in and highlight it with white just to really make like the high parts pop more. So yeah, that 70s or that 50s makeup style for TV, that's what we're going for right now, just to make sure that. All right, I kind of like this dude. He's got the goofy, googly eyes. Give him the googs. You guys watch Seth Meyers at all? All right, so that is, let's see. All right, so there's the face, which will be orange eventually, but that's, and yeah, so all of that's four coats. One, two. Yeah, it's four layers before I even lay down orange or lay down the orange or yellow. And yeah, it's well, yeah, I didn't. That's probably one of the few things I didn't watch. Like, so I like watching his monologues. I like watching his closer looks. And on Thursdays, I freaking love watching corrections. Like, I don't know. Like, I think corrections are hilarious. Thank you. Yeah, so now all I'm doing is just dragging out and just picking out the most vibrance or picking out spots in between so that I could have just like a fairly so I could have edges highlighted but not in the most uniform way. I want it to be a little spotty. I want it to have like some movement to it. I'm a low res guy. I hate trying to get, hey guy, hi. Hi James, I didn't notice you showed up. Yeah, dude, it's always shitty, right? So like, yeah, so the even there, like I would mix white with something else before I started painting other things, and it's just like, yeah, I hate trying to get white. I'm like, yeah, it never looks white. No, it never does. Like, white is something that like you try to create like artificial shadows on. So like you would paint it like gray, um, unless you like, even if you want like that straight white flat shit, like you start out with a gray to hide the idea that it's not going to come out well if you just do it straight. And like on big broad areas, I would use a fucking roller for leather, Um, I was just in one of my other in a Discord for something else, and the guy's like showing off his leather work, and he's like, "How do I get rid of this giant spot in the middle?" Because he's using the dauber that comes with the Phoebings, and I was like, "Man, I wish you asked this question like 20 seconds before you commit to putting that hot spot right in the middle, because we all know what that looks like. It looks and I was like, airbrush it. Um, like the end answer was, now that you've dyed it, put a coat of paint over top of it to try and hide that, and it'll create a different sheen, you know. Or using a wool chunk of lamb's wool. Of course, white. It sucks, right? Like, gosh, in that application, it's horrible. How's the wife and kid, James? We haven't talked since May, which is not a criticism. Well, it's a criticism on me, realizing we haven't talked since May. Except I know Carol and I have talked because I've asked her about like some of the new diseases coming up into the world, up into the country. Oh, do you? Ah, you're sweet. You're sweet, man. Yeah, so Dylan has asked for me to do a drinking stream once. So you know how good that's going to come out, right? I'm not laughing at you, Dylan. It's just like old buddy for 20 years. He knows the old ways. The old ways may not necessarily be the current ways, right? Like 20 years of character development. I got to throw that out, right? Like, like people change over time. If they don't, they might as well just be a fucking NPC in the corner, right? I know James is a very good friend of mine who he and his family came up this past May to enjoy the celebration of my matrimony, and it was awesome to see them. It was awesome that they were able to come up for the event, um, and it was awesome to see like my last my most recent, which is unfortunate to call him that, my most recent and probably my last Sharpei to bond so well with his kid, and yeah, it was adorable. It was like William got his own Grogu. I had just showed my vet that picture too of William and Puka riding in the truck. There you go. All right, let's see. Okay, so I kind of want to end the show, but I don't want to. I want to end it after I actually get this fucking yellow laid out. So yeah, 2 hours to lay one color out. This is how we as we as independent creators just spend a lot of time making sure that one thing looks right. William is growing up like a weed, and Carol is getting ready to leave the country for a week, going to be a boys. Hey, there you go. Remind me where Carol's going again, because I think she said something about leaving the country in May, or maybe this is a new place. Hey, nothing wrong with a boys' week. Nothing wrong at all. What I might do is do an image transfer or something onto the tank too. Well, okay, I did say, all right, so after I get the yellow laid out, you know, all the little gizmos on the front and back, they'll get treated they'll get some kind of cool painted treatment and stuff. And yeah, all right. All right, so let's get some yellow laid out. Now, let's see, I need couldn't imagine trying to go back to our old days. I know mine can't. I'm fucking broken. No, like, so today I ended up doing, and I was going back to the original topic. I helped out at our maker space to do the quarterly cleanup. And so the strategy was to do the job that nobody else fucking likes to do, and that's pretty much emptying out all the sawdust bins and stuff. All right, like nobody likes to do it. It has to get done. So it's like, cool, I can go in, do the shitty job, and leave way early, right? It worked. And so, I mean, there's 1, 2, 3. So there were 6 50-gallon drums worth of sawdust. And so that had to get hauled out to a dumpster, dumped out, and then brought back in, reassemble the oil drums to the hoppers, or reassemble them to the vacuum system. And my back is screaming. My back's saying to me, what the hell did you do? I'm like, 10 years ago, that whole shop would have been cleaned up by me alone. Now I'm like, where's my heating pad? So yeah, as soon as we're done here, there will be some painkillers taken and a good night's sleep, hopefully, in my future. But yeah, like, it's sad. Although here's a funny thing that Bangladesh. Wow. Look at Dr. Carol going everywhere. Is she going there to save the world, or to make sure that the next big infection doesn't come to the United States? All right, so here's the value scale laid out. And I should have gone a little brighter on the value scale in retrospect. Oops. All right, and then here's my first coat of yellow. This is a very transparent uh, coat. It's 50% matte medium and an acrylic ink. And all I want right now is to make sure that this area pops as well as it does. So now I have values going from dark to lightest, and it's laid out in that fashion. And then this is where Dylan's going to say that's a lot of work. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to spot some light colors back in to create noise or to create more visual interest. And I'm going to do this again. And then I'm going to do it again. And so it'll be like, so this is my fifth color. So this is my fifth color. So then I'll go back with white, add some more spots and highlights in, and then I'm going to do this again. So by the end of it, I'm going to have 7-8 layers of paint on this. Not fully though. It's not going to be like 7 layers. There's going to be like a topography in the amount of and how the layers actually sit. But the first coat of yellow goes everywhere, and then it's going to be really spotty of where it all boils down to. So yeah. Bangladesh, holy crap. Well, good luck, and her job is to make sure she comes back safe, right? So yeah, then when I'm all done, you can be like, I watched him paint yellow for 2 fucking hours. Like, hey, you sure did. But I had a hell of a good time doing it. And like this guy gets wrapped up tomorrow. The cool thing is, it'll be finished tomorrow, right? So the show is in April. Flu surveillance and program assistance for the country. Nice. That's crazy good. Yeah. So Munin just got her vaccines, and I forgot. I meant to ask the vet when we're going to have to start paying attention to malaria, because that's coming. Because that's coming to the U.S. Isn't that awesome? I guess Dr. Carroll could have told me too, but I was like, yeah, we're paying. We're like Carol will know when it comes in, but like I assume the vet will know when it should be expected in Minnesota, right? And maybe I guess Carol would know that too, right? And it's just like, we're all paying for climate change, right? Try to explain to my neighbor that we as a human race is totally responsible for climate change. And I tried to explain it to him in terms of, I have pumpkins in my backyard because somebody else put a pumpkin in this neighborhood, and somebody else encourages squirrels, so that the squirrels happen to put the pumpkin seeds in my backyard, and they grow. And they wouldn't have fucking done it if it wasn't for human intervention. And I couldn't get that point driven home to him. And I'm like, yeah. And there's Rick's political lecture for the night. All right, so before I call it a night, we are going to get that orange face put in too, because the orange face is going to be painted the same way this yellow is getting done. And the other cool way of doing this, exactly right, like the butterfly doesn't have to flap its wings hard. But now I'm like, oh, pumpkins were super easy to grow. Lots of research into it. Exactly. Yeah. Too much research for me, right? Like, guy like me, that is not me. But like pumpkins, I discovered are super easy to grow, and that's what I just want to rip out my front yard and just turn it into a pumpkin patch, like. And when they're done, just let the neighborhood kids have the fucking pumpkins for Halloween or whatnot. Like, I think that's cool. 10 years ago, I wouldn't want I wouldn't want to be growing pumpkins to give away free in my front yard. Now I'm like, yeah, fuck it. Just like pumpkins mean I don't have to do any real maintenance to the front yard. You're just growing pumpkins. Positive tests in our area. For malaria? God dang it. That's the worst. All right, so there's the first coat of the yellow. It's very muddy right now, but in the areas it covered the white, super bright. Where it's just over the original brown, it's still a little muddy, and that's fine. The intent is to have that there, but it's got cool transitions, and we're going to get to the orange face, and that orange face is going to come out similar right now. And I get to use my favorite orange glaze. Well, I want to know how your governor's handling it, but I really don't want to know. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the Texas I grew up knowing in song and story. It's like the shenanigans in fucking Super Troopers. Ours are fun and cheeky. His shenanigans are cruel. Like, yep. Well, shit. Where were you when Rick fucks up his orange? It's not really a fuck up. It's just that it doesn't look orange. It looks like I didn't change colors from here to here, but I promise you, one's orange in the palette. There's, yeah. I didn't want to mix anything tonight. I'm paying the price. So, let's see if I can beef that up a little better and make it look like I know what I'm talking about. Yes, sir. Yeah, I want to scream from the fucking, like, what the hell is that jackass doing? Of course, I'm sure you guys want to be screaming what the hell that jackass is doing too. Before I go, do you guys think you'll turn blue this election season, or you think it'll be not? That looks awesome. Thank you. Merman, dude, I don't know if you heard me earlier, but I'm basing this off of Merman from Masters of the Universe. So just my style, right? So now, yeah. Okay. Oh, it's almost 10. All right, cool. Part of me says I should stop before my form sucks. The old gym mentality. You're tired, your form sucks, you're going to get hurt. In this case, I'm tired. I don't want my form to suck, and I don't want to have to redo anything. So I'm going to say I'm done for that tonight. So hopefully this week we'll all see the Merman Sasquatch actually get his whole groove. Thank you. It does, doesn't it? Like, from this far, it looks all right. It'll get beefed up more. Yeah. So anyway, that being said, I'm going to wrap up this show. I'm going to thank everybody for showing up, interacting tonight, all the chit chat. It was wonderful seeing everybody there. It's Rick Stroh everywhere: Threads, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah. Funny enough, though, like I've been told I should be making shorts on YouTube. I don't care for doing them, but I do them. And some of them I'm not going to tell anybody to just pull up one of the shorts and just let it play endlessly on a device. But if you did, it would be cool. But yeah, like some of my shorts have gotten like way more hits than I ever thought. Like one of Munen's my favorite video of Munin in her spider costume has gotten like over 3,000 views, which is freaking cool. But yeah, so anyway, thanks everybody for showing up. And future people who are watching this recorded, thanks a bunch. We'll see you next time. Have a good night.